Welcome to the Dr. Joe Show. I am the aforementioned Dr. Joe Esposito, and I'm glad you could be here because this is the show that's going to help you naturally get well and stay well. And normally we talk about food, and sometimes we talk about orthopedics and neurology, but today I'm going to kind of go in a little different direction. I want to talk about the weird things that's happening to your body when you expose it to plastics. I know that sounds like a pretty boring topic, but stay tuned on this one. You're going to be amazed on the things that you're exposing yourself to and why you need to stop doing it, because plastic is awesome. I mean, it's really a godsend. There's so many things that we use that's good in our lives. It makes, lighter weight cars. It saves gas. It lowers your vehicle's carbon footprint. It makes computers, disposable syringes so we can draw blood without spreading infection. A lot of good stuff there. Even polystyrene, those styrofoam cups that you use. They're pretty amazing what plastic can do. It's a great insulator, but there's a great material that can cause a lot of problems. You use it in your house, so you just got to be careful where you're exposing yourself to, and you'll be fascinated how many times you're coming in contact with plastic that's affecting your brain, that's affecting your heart, it's affecting your hormones, and it's actually affecting your weight. So years ago, before we had all these plastic things around, we talked about calories in, calories out. I remember when I went to school, if you ate, 3,500 calories, you gained a pound. If you stopped eating 3,500 calories, you lost a pound. It was pretty simple. But now there's chemicals like plastic that are actually affecting how your body creates and stores fat. Now, when I went to school, way back when, fat was a blob. It was just something that hung on you and you wanted to lose it, and it was great. But now we're realizing that fat actually becomes a living, breathing organ. It has its blood supply, and it can actually produce hormones. And one of the hormones it produces is estrogen. There's really 3 different types of estrogen. Estrogen is kind of a generic term. But estrogen can cause you to lay down fat, which causes you to produce estrogen. So you see, you kind of get in this cycle. So you got to be really careful about what you're exposing your body to, because there's going to be some downsides. I promise you, guaranteed 100%. So the takeaway from this is when you use plastic for unnecessary conveniences, you're not only putting the planet at risk, but you're putting yourself at risk. So a couple of things I want you to consider about this. Recent study took a look at black plastic travel mugs and kitchen utensils, and they found an alarming percentage of them contained something called brominated flame retardants. Now, this is a toxic class of chemicals linked to cancer. Researchers believe electronic recycled waste, which is often contains these harmful flame retardants, are winding up in plastic consumer products because they're being recycled. So we're doing a good job in recycling and saving the world, but this recycled plastic now can actually have an adverse effect on your health. And one of the things about brominated flame retardants is bromine can have an adverse effect on your thyroid gland. Your thyroid gland sits in your throat, kind of, gentlemen, where your Adam's apple is, and it's butterfly-shaped. And your thyroid gland uses iodine. Now, most of us don't get enough iodine in our diet. But the thyroid gland uses iodine to produce thyroid hormones. And if you've ever heard the thyroid hormones, they're called T1, T2, T3, and T4. The T means how many is thyroid, and the number means how many molecules of iodine are attached to the thyroid hormone, T1, 2, 3, and 4. Number 1, most of us don't get enough iodine. Number 2, if you're exposing yourself to haloids. Now, haloids are bromine, chlorine, fluorine, and of course, iodine is a haloid too. These iodine-like molecules, these haloids, can block up the receptor sites in your thyroid, and you can't absorb iodine, which can now lead to thyroid problems. How many people out there believe they have a thyroid problem? Raise your hands. Because people say, I can't lose weight. It must be my thyroid. I'm cold all the time. It must be my thyroid. I'm tired all the time. It must be my thyroid. Chances are it could be other things too, but it could be because you're exposing yourself to these haloids. So here you are drinking out of a plastic coffee mug every morning. Coffee's an acid. Acid dissolves plastic, and you're getting these bromine molecules into your body, which can have an adverse effect on your thyroid gland. So I'm going to say this a couple of times, but I want to get right to it. You want to get rid of plastic containers that you're using and go for food grade stainless steel, ceramic, or glass. The only time you should ever use plastic ever is if you're storing something cold. So, for example, if you had I don't know, slices of an apple, but you wouldn't want to put oranges in there or pineapples because they're acids, and the acid can dissolve the plastic, and the plastic gets into your body, and the plastic can act like estrogen and cause you to lay down more fat. So plastics can be really dangerous, and when you start to recycle them, we got to be careful what we recycle them into. And at this point, you're recycling your computer casing, and it can become a travel mug. Vegetables can actually drink up plastic. So you're eating vegetables, but you can be getting plastic into your body. Plastic is a go-to component on a lot of vegetable farms. It's used as cheap, lightweight plastic greenhouses. Recent testing in China found that green leafy vegetables grown in plastic film greenhouses were likely to contain higher levels of phthalates, which are hormone-disrupting chemicals linked to weight gain and behavioral problems. Have you noticed we got a problem with behavioral problems? I mean, when I was a kid, you were a class clown. Me and Dennis Monks. I remember me and Dennis Monks were the two class clowns. And you joked around and you got in trouble, and that was that. But now we have these behavior disorders, ADD, ADHD, autism, which is a little more than just a behavioral disorder. But a lot of it, I believe, has to do with all the chemicals that the kids are being exposed to. And also, it can stimulate their hormone production. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but kids these days, sound like the old man, kids these days mature a lot faster. And in fact, every generation, they're maturing about 6 months sooner. They base this on women's menstrual cycle. So as a chiropractor, you're thinking, why do I care about plastics? Well, plastics can affect the hormone system, which can affect the nervous system. And my job as your doctor is make sure that your nervous system is working properly, your digestive system is working properly, and that you're eating the right foods. And so what you're exposing yourself to is going to have an adverse effect on how quickly your body heals and how well you as my patient, because I consider everyone listening, that I'm hopefully going to become my patient someday, that I want to get you well. So, folks, I got to go to a break. I'm going to open up the phone lines, not just plastics, but any healthcare question you have. Give me a call, 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. My website, lots of archive radio shows there, lots of good information there. We just changed it, by the way, if you haven't been there in a while, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe with the number one Dr. Joe in the world. 844-44-Dr. Joe with your health questions. We'll be right back. Thanks for hanging in there. I am Dr. Joe Esposito, and we're talking today about how plastics are adversely affecting our lives. And it's not just polluting the oceans and turtles getting caught up in six-pack container wrappers. And I get that, but there's a chemical aspect that's going on that's really getting into our bodies, our nervous systems, our immune systems, and just causing a mess. And one of the things, and gentlemen, you really want to pay attention to this because men get very excited and nervous when I start talking about their manlyhood. A study appearing in Environmental Health Perspectives found that men with the highest concentration of phthalates, which are common in plastic ingredients, had significantly lower free androgens, which are your male sex hormones, and healthy reproductive hormones compared to men with the lowest levels of the phthalates. So the higher your phthalate or exposure, the higher your plastic exposure, gentlemen, the lower your male hormones. Now, we think about testosterone as your sex drive hormone, and people say, yeah, well, of course, that's what it does. But it also builds muscle mass, and not just your biceps and your triceps. How about your heart? Your heart's a muscle. How about your blood vessels, your bowels? So we have to be concerned about this for men and women, because if we're increasing our phthalate and our plastic exposure, we're lowering our androgen, our male hormone levels, and that can be really dangerous. Aside from lowering your sex drive, it has adverse effects all the way around. We got several callers today, so let's go to callers. If you have a question, the number is 844-44-Dr. Joe. Lines are open right now, 844-44-Dr. Joe. When I'm not on the air, that number rings through to my offices. So if you have questions, during the week, or if you want to make appointments, you can always do that, 844-44-Dr. Joe. Amanda, how can we make your day better?
Hi, I got a quick question. I've been drinking a lot of water, trying to get healthy, so I regularly buy these Dasani. And my question is, obviously, like you're saying, when the plastic heats up, it can leach into the water.
Correct.
And I just wanted to know what you do when you drink water, because obviously there's a lot of questions around tap water. When, say, Walmart is transporting these cases of Dasani to their store, is it climate controlled, or are they sitting in the back of like a hot truck, say?
Yeah, huh?
It just makes me really nervous to even drink bottled water anymore. So I wanted to get your thoughts.
It should, actually. It should make you nervous. And the answer is yes, you're absolutely right. It's not climate controlled, no. And the bottles are exposed to heat, and those plastics break down. Now, the weaker the bottle, the thinner the bottle, some of those bottled waters are thinner than others, the more leaching most likely is going to occur. So what I do, just to be safe, is I have a water filter in my house. Now, my water filter is about 5-6 feet tall, and it filters every drop of water in my house. Now, it's expensive. It was about a $3,000 filter. So I have filters on my website that you can get that are just for a sink. So what I do, you asked the question, what do? I take the bottle, I take a stainless steel or glass container, and I drink out of that every day. So I fill up,
Okay.
Like right now, like Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Those are two supplements I take every day. They're sitting in front of me in a glass jar. So I try not to put anything in plastic at all. Now, if you take filtered water from your tap and it's in a hard plastic container, a lot less likely to have leaching than if you don't know how the quote bottles, the plastic bottles were handled. So I'd rather you get a good filter in your house and drink that. Be a lot cheaper too.
Right. What I did was I actually bought like a couple glass gallon containers, and then I would just go into, like, you can go to Walmart and Kroger and different stores. You can fill it up from their purification systems.
Yes, perfect. Excellent.
But, you're spending so much money on these cases of water. I'm so glad to get that advice from you because that really clears it up.
Save a ton of money and buy some good fruits and vegetables. Thanks,
All right,
thanks, Amanda. I appreciate it. Let's keep taking calls. If you have a question, 844-44-DR-JOE, D-R-J-O-E, 844-44-DR-JOE. And Lauren, how can we make your day better?
Yeah, Dr. Joe, first of all, I love y'all.
Thank you.
What I'm going through right now, I've been told it's a bacterial infection, CILITITIS, something like that. But I've been in and out of the hospital. They've done 6 different antibiotics, and it's actually worse now. And I'm the type of person, haven't done antibiotics in 30 years, so I didn't want that to begin with. I just wondered, is there any kind of thing we can do once we have this to try to get it better? Because I'm feeling too bad tonight to even go back to the hospital.
I understand. Okay, so let's do a couple of things. Number one, we got to build up your immune system. Because the antibiotics save lives. I am not against antibiotics. I've taken them in the past, and I would take them in the future. But they kill off the good bacteria as well as the bad bacteria. And 70% of your immune system, or 80%, depending on the study you read, is in your colon because of the bacteria. So if you're killing off the good bacteria, you're weakening your immune system. So as we try to save you from the infection, we long-term can be causing damage. So a couple of things. There are natural antibiotics because a lot of viruses, germs, well, not viruses, but bacteria have been exposed to antibiotics for a long time now, and they've mutated. They're called superbugs. And so we need to get an antibiotic that these bacteria have never seen before, so to speak. And you can look at things like garlic. Take a clove of garlic, smash it up, let it sit for about 5 minutes, and eat that. And again, don't not do what your doctors are saying. This is in addition to that. Olive leaf extract. You can go to any health food store. I know you're not far from one of my offices, and you can get olive leaf extract. Olive leaf extract is a wonderful natural antibiotic. Extra virgin organic coconut oil is a mild antibiotic. And you got to build up the immune system. So I personally take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source every day because they have prebiotics, which feed the bacteria in your colon, and probiotics, which are the good bacteria in your colon. And it also helps alkalize your system. It feeds the good stuff in your body. So Super Greens and Essential Source, I think everybody should be taking, almost everybody should be taking that anyway. And that's on my website, drjoeesposito.com. Also on Amazon, too. We have it there. But garlic, olive leaf extract, and then you want to start building up the immune system with things like suma root. But if you call my office, 844-44-DR-JOE, when I'm not on the air, we can actually put together a protocol for you to build up the immune system and some natural antibiotics as well. And then hopefully the doctors will start seeing the progress and we'll move forward from there.
I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
My pleasure, Lauren. And folks, if you do have a question, like Lauren did, or Amanda, 844-44-Dr. Joe, 844-44-DRJOE. And so we're talking today about the dangers of plastics. And it's something that you're exposing yourself to all day, every day. And you've got to be really, really careful. And we said earlier that it makes men less manly because it lowers your androgen levels. So more reasons for men to give up plastic. University of Chicago study released June 2013 found that early exposure to something called bisphenol A, which is a common chemical used in polycarbonate water bottles, which is what we were talking about earlier, mimics estrogen in the body and could sensitize prostate stem cells in a way that promotes prostate cancer later in life. So the estrogen and the BPA can actually kind of set up your prostate for failure later on in life. Folks, got to go to break. Tell your friends about the show. My website, drjoeesposito.com. You can get Super Greens, Essential Source, other supplements, my books, a lot of good information there. And it's also on Amazon. If you have a question, 844-44-Dr. Joe. That rings through the studio here and also rings through to my office when I'm not on the air. It's funny, I say that and the lines light up. It's kind of cool. So the website, folks, really good place to go to the website. We store archive radio shows there, a lot of good stuff, drjoeesposito.com. Hey, tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. Hey, tell your friends. I am so glad that you're here. Hopefully you're going to learn lots today, as we do every time we get together, so we can naturally get you well and keep you well. And today we're talking about the weird things that plastic does to your body. Now you're thinking, well, plastic is on the outside of my body. How does it get inside my body? And it can get there a lot of different ways. And one way is melting. So if you use styrofoam cups or plastic coffee cups, you're putting something in there that's hot, but also things like coffee is an acid, and it'll dissolve it. And you got to be careful, too, when you wash these things, because if you're washing them and you scratch them, that can release more chemicals into the food as well. That's why it's much better to use things like stainless steel or glass water bottles, because when you stick them in the dishwasher, too, it's going to not melt down. Some bottled water chemicals are so potent, they're like hormone-replacing cancer drugs. Now, certain types of cancers, like prostate cancers, they'll give you hormones or chemicals to shut down your hormone production. So, for example, with prostate cancer, they may give you a drug to stop your testosterone production because testosterone can actually help cancer cells grow. I would argue that point for a long time, that there's good and bad to that. But anyway, that's not my point today. Recent German study published in a journal, PLOS One, detected 25,000 chemicals in bottled water, finding that some inhibited estrogenic activity by 60% and androgenic activity, which is the male hormones, by as much as 90%. So the researchers detected particularly potent chemicals, and these are compounds used to manufacture and form plastic resin used in plastic bottles. So once again, we go back to the filtered water. It's a good idea to get a filter. I have one. I have a whole house filter. Get them under your sink. If you go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, we have some on the website. It's in the store portion. You can get them. I'd recommend you at least have one for your kitchen sink. This way you can drink water, cook with it, wash your fruits and vegetables. But you got to realize, too, that if you're taking a shower and your pores open up, because if I like hot showers, and if you're like me, you can absorb as much chlorine as drinking 8 glasses of tap water. And that chlorine, when it gets into the body, can affect your thyroid gland, because the chlorine can block up your iodine receptor sites, and you need iodine for your thyroid to work. So, again, another reason to stay away from plastic and to filter out your water. Now, let's take some more callers. If you have a question, 844-44-Dr. Joe. Lisa, how can we make your day better?
Yes, I have a family member who is having trouble with lymphedema, and I wondered if there is something that would help that.
Absolutely.
Also, the adrenal gland.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're connected. Absolutely. So lymphedema, swelling of the lymph glands, what you want to do is the heart beats and it pumps blood. Your sacrum, your tailbone, and your occiput, the back of your skull, every time you move, pump what's called cerebrospinal fluid, which is the nourishment for the brain and the spinal cord. That's why, as a chiropractor, it's so important to me that the spine is lined up properly so that you can pump cerebrospinal fluid. The lymph glands, the only way they get pumped is when muscles get contracted. So it's important that the muscles get contracted. So movement is really important at this point. Now, if they're having trouble moving, go to any sporting goods store and get one of these small trampolines. And you can bounce on a trampoline. Now, if they have trouble bouncing, they have handles now for the trampolines, and just kind of bounce up and down a little bit. That's going to start flushing the lymphatic glands, and that's going to help with the immune system. The other thing I find is that if there's pinched nerves, for example, if you have lymphedema in the legs, which is real common, I find the nerves in the low back can be being pinched because the bones move out of place. The nerves and the blood vessels travel together. So if you're pinching a nerve, you're pinching a blood vessel. Most people with lymphedema in their legs, in fact, everyone I've ever seen in 32 years of practice, have a pinched nerve and blood vessel in their low back. And then you got to drink a lot of fluids, Lisa, water specifically, filtered water, because that's going to help flush it out. So I would check the nerve supply, get the muscles contracting, and drink a lot of fluids. That should help tremendously. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lisa. I appreciate it. Let's keep taking calls. Brent, how can we make your day better?
Hey, how you doing, Dr. Joe? Can't believe I'm talking to you right now.
I'm glad you called.
Oh, I don't even know where to start. For the past 4 years, I've had, and I don't know if it's candida or what, but I've been dealing with a problem with fecal body odor. And I take 3 showers a day. I don't know what to do about it. It's caused me going super great depression.
Sure.
I just, it's hard to hold a job down.
I understand. Yeah.
When you
stink.
I don't know what to do about it.
Okay.
And I actually ordered your Super Greens and Essentials. I don't know. I just ordered 2 things from you the other day.
Great.
I've tried non-carbs. I don't know what to do.
Okay.
I'm just...
All right, a couple of things when the body has a lot of odor. Usually it comes from the colon. So we start to see food rotting in the colon, essentially. Those chemicals, that stink gets absorbed into your blood system and comes out through the skin. So a couple of things. Want to make sure the bowels are moving 2 to 3 times a day. A day, not a week, a day. Now, if it's not, I have something on my website called Dr. Joe's Intestinal Cleanser. And if you take that, that'll gently get the bowels back to where they need to be. Staying away from carbs, smart idea. That's very good. The Super Greens, the essential source, are going to alkalize your system as well as giving you tons of nutrients. So that should help as well. And are you exercising? You getting the body moving?
I haven't been. I'm starting to now.
Okay, because that's going to help too. And you can go into a steam room and try to sweat as well to get those toxins out of the system. But if something stinks, there's something wrong. And it's not the smell that's bad. It's a symptom that it most likely is going back to the digestive system. So are the bowels working? That you're okay with there?
They weren't. So I've done a couple flushes with Epsom salt and lemon and olive oil, and actually, I don't know, I was surprised. I've cleaned my whole entire colon out. I went on a fast for 3 days, just drinking juice, pretty much. I've juiced vegetables.
Excellent, perfect.
And yeah.
Is that helping?
And it actually worked quite well, but it's still it seems like the smell wouldn't go away, and the evidence that I saw within the stool was white stringy stuff, and I don't know if I have a bad yeast infection.
That sounds like a yeast infection then, yeah. Okay. So what you want to do then, probably longer explanation than I can give you. So, Brent, if you want to call the office during regular office hours, 844-44-Dr. Joe, or shoot me an email, even better, drjoe@drjoeesposito.com, or on the website, send me an email, and I'll put together a Candida protocol for you, and let's see if we can knock it out that way. Okay?
All right.
Thanks so much. Folks, if you have a question, 844-44-Dr. Joe, my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe with the #1 Dr. Joe in the world. My supplements are available on the website, also available on Amazon, along with my books as well. Hey, listen, I got to go to break. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to cover. Tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. Tell your friends about. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Do appreciate you taking time out of your day. This is the show where we naturally get you well and keep you well. And today we're talking about the dangers of plastics. But at the break, I was just reading my Facebook page. Oh, by the way, follow me on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dr. Joe Esposito. We send out lots of good information. When I write articles, we'll announce it. I put the shows, after we put a show on the air, we'll put it on Facebook so you can listen to it. And we also announce my lectures. And if you haven't been out to my live lectures, they're a lot of fun. I do them all over the country. And it's a blast because there's so many things I can show you at a lecture that I can't show you on the radio, and we videotape them, put them on my website. So if you're a visual learner, all on the website, drjoeesposito.com. But I'm just amazed how many people reach out to me for a second opinion. A lot of people have neck pain and back pain, digestive problems, nutrition questions. And they say, Dr. Joe, what do you think of this? This is what I've done. What else can we do? Now, sometimes they're on the right track, and I'm perfectly good with that. But maybe we can tweak it or move them in a different direction. And many times people are very happy with the results. And that's what I was just doing, answering some questions on Facebook. So if you have a question, you can send me questions there or on my website, drjoeesposito.com. Send me your questions. I'm more than happy to answer them on the website as well. Lillian, how can we make your day better?
Hi, Dr. Joe.
Hi.
I am 59 years old. We'll be next month.
I have socks older than you.
I am constantly sweating. I mean, just sweating.
Okay.
And we did the thyroid test, and that's been ruled out.
Good.
So what can I do naturally?
Okay.
My doctor has written me different prescription. It does not work.
I'm going to tell you it's called hyperhidrosis. And there's a chain of nerves in your mid-back called the sympathetic chain ganglion. Now, there's two types of nerves in your body. One speeds you up, called the sympathetics, and one slows you down, called the parasympathetics. So what I find in cases like yours, and I've seen lots of this over the years I've been in practice, is the sympathetic chain ganglion is being irritated. So somewhere along the line, you probably traumatized your mid-back. Could have been a car accident, a fall, something traumatized that now is irritating the sympathetic chain ganglion. So we know what it's not. We know it's not a thyroid problem. The other issue could be a hypothalamus issue. The hypothalamus is the part of the brain that's your thermostat. And so the thermostat might be off, too. Maybe you had a brain injury. I've seen this happen after traumatic brain injuries, concussions, car accidents. So in your case, I would check the sympathetic chain ganglion in the middle of the back, see if there's any pinched nerves. Then I would check the skull, because the skull bones can move out of place. And if the skull bone is out of place and it somehow is affecting the hypothalamus, that can be causing the hyperhidrosis as well. So it's probably one of those two things. And that's what I would recommend we do, is get it fixed.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. See how easy that was? Jim, how can we make your day better?
Hey, Dr. Joe. Well, you've actually made my life a lot better.
Oh, I like that.
I just want to toot your horn, man.
Toot away, my friend.
I've been with you about 5 or 6 years. I started off with the live lectures, then I came in as a patient, and well, for a bunch of reasons, I can't do that anymore. But there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about something that I've learned from you. And
that's great.
You've actually extended my life probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 years probably, but what I wanted to say is actually, if anybody that's listening, that a new listener or whatever, this guy is the most committed physician I've ever known. And even though I'm not a patient anymore, anytime I email you, you always come back to me. And I just want to let you know how much I appreciate you.
Well, thanks, Jim. I really appreciate that. And I'm glad the listeners get to hear that, too. Well, I'm glad we've made such a positive impact in your life. And anything I can do for you in the future, I'm always there for you.
I know that, and I appreciate it. Thanks, Doc.
Thanks, my friend. I do appreciate your call. Oh, man. How am I going to follow that up, Ahmad? How do you follow that call?
That's a true hallmark moment.
Yeah. Should we just stop the show now and just leave it at
done.
that? Just
It's
always
over.
Muhammad Ali said, right?
Leave on a high.
Leave on a high note. I think we should just stop the show now. No, we can't do that. But, folks, I do appreciate what Jim said. And my goal really is to help you naturally get well and stay well. And we get people from all over the world come see us, like the Dr. Joe Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Those are two supplements I created years ago for myself. And they became so popular that we ship them now all over the world. They're extremely popular. Gosh, people love them. And I don't think a day goes by, probably not 2 or 3 hours go by, where a patient says, Dr. Joe, never stop making that stuff. That stuff is just amazing. And if you want to get it, I think you should. Try it for a month. drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. And we're the #1 Dr. Joe in the world. We also have an Amazon page where we have Dr. Joe Super Greens, Essential Source, my books. If you haven't read my books, folks, really good stuff. First one I wrote was called Eating Right for the Health of It, and it tells you how to change your diet. Prescription for Extreme Health really it's an owner's manual, and it tells you how to deal with your life, from the nervous system, digestive system, diet, stress. We talk about eating right, fixing the digestive issues. I just had somebody send me something on Facebook about their husband has high blood pressure and he's a vegan. Why is that? Well, in many cases, the stomach is pushing up against the diaphragm. And when the stomach pushes up against the diaphragm, you irritate something called the vagus nerve, V-A-G-U-S. And the vagus nerve controls your heart as well. So if you're having gas, acid reflux, heartburn, burping, that's a symptom. It's telling you something's wrong. Don't ignore it. So we have to gently pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm. It's actually adjusting or manipulating the stomach. That takes the stress off the vagus nerve, and I've seen tons of patients where the blood pressure drops. Because somebody, again, it's a second opinion. Doc, I've done everything. I'm eating right. I'm taking my medication. I'm still having issues with my blood pressure. Doctors don't know what to do. Let's see if we can try to get to the cause of the problem and not just treat the symptoms. And the cause, many times, vagus nerve issue. So we get that from all over the world. And it's kind of fun, actually, because people like Jim, I get emails all the time saying, Doc, thank you. I get emails from prison. Not emails, letters from prison. We have a lot of letters from prisoners who listen. If you're listening, thank you for listening. And they say, Doc, just listening to you has changed my life, and now I'm able to deal with my issues better. People that have emotional disorders. So it's a lot of fun. You know, people say, Jim said I was the most dedicated physician he ever met. Well, I appreciate that, and I like to strive to that level. So anyway, back to I had to follow up on that. That was such a great call. And if you have a question, give us a call, 844-44-Dr. Joe, or a comment, 844-44-Dr. Joe. We're talking today about plastics and how plastics may be killing you. Killing me softly, killing me slowly, right? Was it Roberta Flack, way before you were born, Ahmad? Killing me softly, so. Plastics are fueling adult diseases in kids. Now, I've been in practice a long time now, and I see this. According to a study published in the Journal of Pediatrics, we can blame the odorless, colorless plastic additives known as phthalates, we talked about them before, for raising blood pressure rates in children and teenagers. Phthalates readily leach from food containers and mix with food, meaning that it's not just the calories that affect your children's health, but how the food is stored. And we're seeing a lot more kids with adult diseases, with obesity, with high blood pressure, with diabetes, cancers. We didn't have these problems early. Oh, look at you, man. You are that efficient, man. Roberta Flack, right? There you go. Folks, that's Ahmad, my right-hand man, because he is on my right hand. If you have any questions, give us a call, 844-44-Dr. Joe, my website, drjoeesposito.com. Tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. Tell your friends about. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. Hopefully you're having a great day. I'm certainly having a great day, and I have a great day every time I'm with you because I like to share this information because this is healthcare that's really, really works. So thanks for tuning into the Dr. Joe Show. We're talking today about how dangerous plastic can be. And it's not just the fact that you can, choke on it, but when the chemical plastic gets into your body, it can cause some real serious problems. So you really want to cut back on the chemicals that you're putting in your body. And I spoke a little earlier about an article in the Journal of Pediatrics that says that children are getting a lot more adult diseases. And the Journal of Pediatrics says that it's mainly caused by things called phthalates, which are chemicals that are found in plastics. So back to basics is going to be the key. You want to get away from as much processed food as possible. Try to cook from whole foods, not the store. Well, the store's okay. But from foods that are not processed as much. You want to avoid this fad called bubble tea. I've had it once, and it was actually pretty tasty. But the tapioca-like pearls in the drink are thought to harbor phthalate chemicals in many cases. So there's an example of how toxic chemicals can be sneaking into your life. I didn't know that until I read some recent research on it. I tried the bubble tea. I thought it was great. So we've got to be careful that these chemicals are sneaking in. So if you don't know what to eat, and people say to me all the time, well, Dr. Joe, I don't know what to eat. It seems like everything is bad for you. No, it's not. There's 7 foods you want to avoid. I call them the 7 deadly sins of nutrition: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. I know that's your whole diet, right? There are 4 foods you should eat: fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. And the good news is there's about 120,000 fruits, vegetables, and nuts and seeds that you can eat. I've been a vegan for over 30 years. I'm not asking you to do that. Don't worry. Don't get nervous. And so it's funny. People have come in and said, well, Dr. Joe, I didn't want to come see you because you were going to make me become a vegan or a vegetarian. No, I've never, ever in my entire life ever asked anyone to become a vegan or a vegetarian. I'll say, listen, these are the options that you have. If you're going to eat animal products, I recommend you do organic only because a lot less toxins. And I do recommend you do more fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, yes. But I've never asked anyone to change their diet to a different philosophy or to a plant-based diet. But I can advise them, and then what you do is always up to you. That's the one thing I've learned. I don't argue with patients because I've never won that argument. But inevitably, people will come to me many times for second opinions. Doc, I've had neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain. I'm not getting the results I want. What do I do? Sometimes they just need to stay where they are. Sometimes maybe we can help them in our offices. And I'll say, this is what I would suggest. Whatever you decide to do is totally up to you. Most people follow my advice. Some don't. Some know more than me. And eventually they come back in my offices and they say, you were right. Tail between their legs, head down. You were right, Dr. Joe. I was wrong. Let's do it your way this time. It's a lot cheaper, a lot easier, a lot faster if you just do it my way the first time. But if you don't know what to eat, I have 2 books written. One is called Eating Right for the Health of It. The other one is called Prescription for Extreme Health. Great books. They're on my website, drjoeesposito.com. And also Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Essential Source, which just rock. I love them. My favorite supplements ever. They're on my website as well. We'll continue talking about plastics and packaging and even things like the wrappings, pizza boxes and wrappings that we put food in that are non-stick are now releasing chemicals that can cause problems. That goes for microwave popcorn, too. We're going to cover that in a little bit. Let's go back to the callers. John, how can we make your day better?
Hey, how you doing, Doctor?
Very good.
So I've had an issue. Like a couple of years ago, I had a tick on me for a couple of days. I didn't realize it. And then very shortly after that, I had some issues where my whole right side felt very sensitive to the touch. I was getting chills and fatigue. They tested me for Lyme disease, and I didn't hit all the markers. I guess there's a long list of markers, and I hit most of them, but I missed it by 2. and then I stopped having those symptoms, and I've been fine for a couple of years. But just in the last couple of weeks, I've been having numbness in my hands and fingers.
Sure.
And in the last couple of days, I've begun to have neck and back pain that seems to be like spine related. It's not muscular at all. So I just want to see if you had any advice.
Yeah, it sure sounds like Lyme disease to me, actually.
Really?
Yeah, whether it is or not, let's assume it's not, let's assume it is. Same thing needs to be done.
They said you could possibly have it and not always test all, I think it was 7 markers.
Yeah, exactly. So if you have, it's somewhere in there. I don't remember the exact numbers. But so what we need to do is build up your immune system. So the way we do that is we cut out the sugar. I was just talking about my book, A Prescription for Extreme Health. And if you have a white blood cell, and it can normally kill about 14 pathogens before it dies. If you eat just amount of sugar in a can of soda, it can now kill 1 pathogen before it dies. So it blows out your immune system totally. So one thing I'd really recommend, John, is you got to give up all your sugars. That's breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas.
You sound like my girlfriend.
I know. Well, I look like your girlfriend, too. It's funny. You never see... No, I don't. I'm very pretty and I have long blonde hair. No, I'm actually old and balding. Nah. Look at Jerry Seinfeld. What do you think? Jerry Seinfeld, Ahmad? Do you think I look like Jerry Seinfeld?
Yeah.
A little bit like Jerry Seinfeld, kind of a little bit. Yeah, okay.
Dark lighting.
Anyway, so anyway, back to you, John.
Yeah.
We got to build up the immune system. So all the sugars, your girlfriend's right. You got to eat more raw foods, things like Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source. They're raw. But vegetables, because raw food is going to have something in it called enzymes. And if you have Lyme disease, the enzymes can actually attack, just like your white blood cells can, and attack pathogens and break them down.
Okay.
So that would be a key. And if you have any neck pain or back pain or shoulder pain, you could have pinched nerves. And the most obvious thing to do for that is unpinch them, because that's going to help the most.
Right.
Okay? All right. Thanks so much, John. All right. Got to go. Folks, if you have a question, give us a call, 844-44-Dr. my website, drjoeesposito.com. Hey, don't go anywhere. Lots more to talk about. Tell your friends. We'll be right back. I am so glad that you stayed with me. Thanks for listening, and thanks for telling your friends about the show, because I can see by my website how many thousands and thousands of hits we get on the website, and by people that follow me, by the way. Follow me on Facebook, drjoeesposito.com. We give out good information there, and I appreciate you spreading the word, because it's you telling your friends is the reason why this show is heard coast to coast and around the world now, from when a couple of years ago we were just a little tiny show on a little tiny, well, not a little tiny station, but now we're heard coast to coast and around the world. So thank you so much for that. So we're talking today about plastics, but I do want to go back to the callers. If you have a healthcare question, give me a call, 844-44-Dr. James, how can we make your day better?
Yes, I got lower back pain issues, and I think it's something related to my nerve, because my right leg, I can't, say if I'm tying my shoe, I can get my left leg high enough, but I can't get my right leg high enough.
Okay, yeah, it sounds like a pinched nerve. Now, your pelvis, your pelvic girdle, it's called. I don't know why it's called a girdle, but the pelvis is supposed to move back and forth. And if one leg is moving and the other one isn't, that's telling me that your pelvis and your low back is fixated or locked out of place. So what we need to do is get the bones that are out of place and put them back into place. That'll allow the motion to return, most likely, and then also unpinch the nerves. So whenever there's back pain, first place I think is, okay, it's a pinched nerve in the low back. Now, that nerve in the back controls your back, hips, legs, knees, and ankles, but also controls your colon, your sex organs, and your bladder. So a lot of patients with low back issues will develop things like gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, urinary, sexual problems, all from the pinched nerves in the low back. And in most cases, not all, but most cases, the treatment is put the bone back in place, and all those problems and the pain just become a thing of the past.
Mm-hmm.
So
and that would explain the burning sensation sometimes, like I feel.
Absolutely.
In my lower back.
Burning in the low back sometimes shoots down the leg. Depending if it's the back of the leg, it's a sciatic nerve. If it's the side of the leg, it's called the lateral femoral cutaneous nerve. Don't worry about the names. But depending where the pain is tells me where it's coming from. The treatment is still the same. Put the bones back in place. But that's what you're feeling, most likely. Yeah. Okay?
Okay.
Thanks, James. Appreciate it. So, folks, if you have a question, 844-44-Dr. Joe, that number rings through to my offices when I'm not on the air. So if you ever want to make an appointment or contact the office directly, you can do that. And we send out lots of good information on Facebook. You could sign up for my newsletter. We don't send out a lot of newsletters, but it'll tell you when I'm giving a lecture. And live lectures are a lot of fun because I can show you things I can't show you on the radio. So that's kind of a little fun thing, too. And we videotape them, put them on my website, too, so you can watch them if you'd like. And we archive every one of my radio shows. There's hundreds and hundreds of hours of radio shows on my website. And the cost for all of that, the articles that I've written, the radio shows, the videotapes of the lectures, all of that, my gift to you. No charge. Why? Because this is healthcare that really, really works. And my job is to make sure that you have total control over your health of the things you can control. I can't control the fact you get in a car accident. I can usually fix you if you are in a car accident, but I can't control the car accident. In fact, one of my coworkers was in a real bad car accident and came into the studio today. He says, I need to see you tomorrow. I said, yes. The answer is yes. That was it. The answer is yes. So, yeah, if there's back pain or neck pain or shoulder pain, it usually means something's wrong. You want to get it fixed. So I want to talk a little bit about food packaging and how dangerous the food packaging can be. The grease repellent that we put on food wrappers could be worse for your kids than the grease itself. Now, it might make your life easier that these wrappers peel off and sticks of butter and it's nice and clean and neat. But until you realize that the chemicals that make it possible could be predisposing you and your family to heart problems, even worse than the butter itself. So researchers from Denmark published a research in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism, another fun journal I'm sure you have in your bathroom right now, finding that chemicals used to keep our worlds grease and stain-free could be predisposing children to metabolic disorders later in life. These chemicals, called PFCs, are littered throughout your home. In the kitchen, they're used in food packaging to prevent grease and oils from causing paper to tear. In your living room, they keep your upholstered furniture and carpets stain and water repellent, and your drapes wrinkle-free. Chemicals serve the same function on permanent pressed clothing and any outerwear, backpacks, and other accessories that are advertised as water repellent. Wow. So you're exposing yourself to these chemicals all day, every day in many cases. So while you wind up eating your PFCs that are used in food, you're also going to inhale them from things like your couch and your carpets when they get in dust and get in the air. My house, not a shred of carpet anywhere. And the reason is things like this. Also carpets. You ever tear up carpets? I used to do construction work way back when. And I remember tearing up carpets. And they're moldy. And they've got things growing underneath them. And every time you walk, you're pushing this stuff into the air and you're inhaling it. And that causes problems. Bugs. Bugs like to live under your carpets. Roaches and things. They go to the bathroom. Their fecal matter dries and urine dries and gets into the air. So there's just some really serious issues that we're dealing with. So you got to be careful, and that's why I'm not a big fan of carpets. And if you work in the carpet industry, sorry. Regardless, once these things are in your body, they're inflicting a lot of damage that we know about and probably a lot of damage that you don't know about as well. Dutch researchers found that overweight children who had higher levels of certain PFCs in their blood we're more likely to have higher than average levels of insulin, triglycerides, and the types of fat that lead to heart disease. Wow. Some pretty serious stuff. Combined, these suggest that overweight children with high levels of PFCs are at greater risk of developing metabolic disorders than overweight kids with low levels. So you can be overweight and have them, overweight and not have them, overweight and have these chemicals in your body, a lot higher risk of diseases. Normal weight children don't have elevated insulin triglycerides, even if they have high levels of PFCs in their systems. So the researchers are worried that being overweight can make the kids more susceptible to the toxic effects of these chemicals, which build up in their blood and take years to eliminate. So another reason why being overweight can be dangerous. And remember, I always say, and I used to be fat, so I can say this on the radio. If you're fat, you're not fat, you're toxic. Because fat cells are places that we store toxic chemicals. And if you've got these toxic chemicals in your body stores them with the hopes of detoxifying later on. Well, if you keep eating bad foods like alcohols, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, you never give the body a chance to cleanse itself. That's why it's a good idea to give the body a rest. In my new book, Prescription for Extreme Health, I talk about intermittent fasting, where actually 2 or 3 nights a week you just skip dinner. Give your body a rest so that it can do something aside from digest all the time. I take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source every day. I think you should too, because it's the minimum amount of nutrients that your body needs, and it tastes good. I use coconut milk or almond milk because I don't do dairy products. I put it in a glass jar, no plastic, shake it up, and drink it. And if you want to get crazy, you can mix it in with some frozen bananas, make a smoothie out of it. Kids love that stuff. And I tell you what, when you give kids the nutrients that they require, you suddenly have a super child. Because most kids are so depleted in nutrition, and they're eating cookies and candies and cakes and donuts all day, every day, that if you did nothing but gave them high-quality supplements like Super Greens and Essential Source, it's amazing. I've seen it happen time and time again, and I'm assuming it's going to keep happening. So if you want to get Super Greens and Essential Source, those are on my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe with the number one Dr. Joe in the world. They're also available on Amazon. If you have an Amazon account, make life easy for you. If you have a question, the number here at the studio, 844-44-DR-JOE. My website, again, drjoeesposito.com. The Super Greens and Essential Source are just so crazy popular. It's awesome. If you need a second opinion, you can always send me questions through the website, drjoeesposito.com. Hey, tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. Tell your friends about Hey, folks, thanks for being here. Do appreciate that. This is the show where we want to naturally get you well and keep you well because so many people have health issues. And in fact, the one thing all of us have in common, everyone listening right now, everyone that I've ever met, anyone you've ever met, anyone that's ever existed, we all have one concern in common, and that concern is our health. And so many people don't know what to do. They're lost. And they say, Dr. Joe, I don't know what to do. What should I do? And that's why we do this show. This show is heard coast to coast and around the world, thanks to you and radio stations around the country and the world picking this up. So thank you all. And people say, well, I don't know what to do. And so that's why I take these shows, I put them on my website, drjoeesposito.com, so that you can listen to hundreds and hundreds of hours of shows and watch videos of my live lectures, read the articles that I've written, all at no charge. And that website is drjoeesposito.com. So we're talking today about plastics and how dangerous plastics can be. You really want to get the plastics out of your life the best you can. So don't use plastic containers. Don't use plastic bottles. Don't store anything hot in plastic. Never, under any circumstances, heat anything in a microwave, especially in plastic. First of all, you shouldn't be using a microwave. But if you are, don't. But if you still do, don't. But if you still do, no plastic ever in the microwave because plastic will melt and these toxic chemicals will get into the food. Some other things you can do. Stick with hardwood flooring. Like I said, in my house, I have all my carpet out. Now, if you put hardwoods in, try to get them pre-finished. Because if they have to sand and stain the hardwoods while it's in the house, that's going to be a lot of toxic chemicals in the air. Talk to your carpet cleaner if you have carpets, if you like it, or maybe you rent, you can't get rid of the carpet. Look for professional cleaners that utilize PFC-free shampoos. Shampoos often contain PFCs, which are chemicals, to recharge your existing stain repellent that was in the carpet at one time. Ask to see the sheet for the shampoos they use, and keep an eye out for ingredients that say fluoro, F-L-U-O-R-O. This signifies that there's chemicals in there. Don't want to use that person. Steer clear of grease-resistant food packages. Microwave popcorn, food wrappers, pizza boxes all contain grease-resistant coatings. So do pets, like food bags for pets. So you got to be careful with that. They repel the grease. So it's not just for you, it's for your animals as well. Any bag that's paper on the outside and plastic on the inside should be red flags. Be careful with cans. Cans have something called bisphenol A lining them. A lot of companies are now getting away from bisphenol A because they realize how dangerous it was. Now, sometimes they'll use something called bisphenol S, which is just as bad as bisphenol A. But the best thing is always try to do organic. So if you're going to do organic beans, chances are much better you're not going to have the bisphenol A in there. What I do, whether it says BPA free or not, is I rinse what's ever in the can. You know, if it's beans, of course, if it's soup, you can't do that. But if it's beans, you rinse them off first, just as a little extra precaution. And also, if you're an outdoors person, I like being outdoors, look for products made with nylon treated with polyurethane, or if you can find it, canvas treated with beeswax, so that they don't have the toxic chemicals on them as well. Because there's a lot of toxic chemicals you're exposing yourself to. And there's a lot of hidden sources of plastics. I'm going to cover that as soon as I take this call. So, Jeff, how can we make your day better?
Well, Dr. Joe, you can do that by telling me how I can get back to being functionally walking.
Okay.
Well, I'm a professional Santa Claus.
Uh-huh.
And I have, over the years, and I've been doing it just a short time, about 29 years.
Okay, just started.
And I did some charity events, and as a result of several slips and falls on ice, I've had a number of back surgeries, and I've been sitting for quite a while, and now my stamina is way down. Plus, I've got pain that radiates down both legs from my glutes.
Sure. Okay. Well, most likely happens when you're having pain down the legs. It's coming from the low back. Now, it could be a swollen disc. It could be the bones are twisted out of place, pinching the nerves. It could be disc degeneration. So in most cases, and I have a fracture in my low back. I have a fracture in my low back and my neck, actually. I led a crazy life when I was young. But
I've had a couple of discs fused, so I understand the low back thing.
There you go. Right. So,
but having said all that, I need to get back to where I don't have any energy now because I've been sitting for quite a while.
There you go, yeah. Okay, so a couple of things then, Jeff. You want to make sure you're eating right. A lot of raw food, broccoli, cucumbers, tomatoes, avocados, and you'll see this. It's a real simple test. You can do it in one day. Eat raw foods, broccoli, cucumbers, tomatoes, avocado, salad. Notice how you feel for the next couple of hours. The next meal, eat something cooked, like a pizza or a big meal of pasta or some meat, some dairy products. You'll notice within half hour, you start to get really tired and drained because it takes so much energy to digest food. The number one consumer of energy we have is sex. The number two consumer of energy is digestion. So eat the foods that are easy to digest. Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. I take them every day, sometimes twice a day, because they're so easy to absorb. And
what's the composition of that? Is that a green powder?
There are two green powders. The Essential Source is fruits and vegetables. We juice it, take the water out. What's left is a powder. Then we add prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes, and a complete multivitamin.
Oh.
The Super Greens are wheatgrass, barley grass, and alfalfa grass, same way we make it. Then we add Dulse, which is iodine for your thyroid and all the cells in your body. Omega-3 fatty acids from chlorella and spirulina, the best source of omega-3 fatty acids in the world. And so I take a scoop of each, put them in some coconut milk, shake it up, and drink it. And boy,
yeah, I've always been wondering about. I use cashew milk and almond milk, but I can't figure out how they can milk both of those nuts.
It's hard to get those little udders under there. You got to grab those little udders and twists.
Right. That's just like why do they have a three-legged stool? Because the cows get the udder.
Oh. I have a patient. His name is Mike. He's going to be stealing that from you. I know he will. So, Mike, if you're listening, there's your next joke. But I would suggest, Jeff, get yourself to a chiropractor, get the spine checked, and see if it's a chiropractic case. It probably is. Get on something like Super Greens and Essential Source. Eat more raw foods. Stay away from those really hard-to-digest foods, the meats, the dairy products, the sugars. within a couple of days, you should start to see some changes. And then you might also want to get some adrenal supplements. I take adrenal supplements.
And you're saying those vegetables need to be raw. I've been cooking them.
Yeah, try it.
Cook.
Try it raw. I think you can do a lot better, a lot more energy with that. And then adrenal supplements. If you call my office when I'm not on the air, we can get you some adrenal supplements sent over to you too. And I think that'll help tremendously as well. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks,
all right.
Jeff.
So you got an office up there by the Big Chicken?
Yes, we do. As a matter of fact.
All right.
Good.
So and don't stop by and eat chicken before I come. Okay.
Well, I can't say that yes or no. So
No, you can't.
thanks, Jeff. I appreciate the call. So, folks, I want to give you some hidden sources of plastics because this is important. And time goes by so fast. I tell you, this is, Rush Limbaugh says the 3 fastest hour on radio. I think this is the fastest time ever on radio. So I'm going to have to argue with Rush there. Levels of dangerous chemicals are raising everywhere we look, and it's really a big issue. So no matter how plastic-free you think you are, you're going to be surprised at the results of a new study showing that most Americans, like you, harbor high levels of certain plastic chemicals despite industry-wide shifts away from a lot of them. Research published in Environmental Health Perspectives tracked levels of phthalate chemicals added to plastic products to keep them soft and flexible. There are 20 varieties of phthalates in use, and some classes were suspected of interfering with hormones, causing birth defects in children. So these things are found in toys, they're found in food, they're found everywhere. And when we come back, I'm going to tell you the secret places that they're hidden. You're going to be really surprised to hear that. Phone number at the station, 844-44-Dr. Joe. That number rings through to my offices when I'm not here. My website, folks, go to the website. A lot of good information there, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. We're the number one Dr. Joe in the world. You can order Super Greens, Essential Source, my books, other supplements. Send me questions if you have them. Folks, got to go to break. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Don't go anywhere. First, let me say you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. My listeners, we got the best listeners in the world, Ahmad. I think any radio station, I think we got number one here. So
yeah, I think that's a safe bet.
Yes. I appreciate all your kind words. I appreciate you, following me on Facebook, sending me questions through my website. I'm more than happy to do whatever it takes to help get you well and keep you well, within reason, of course. So I want to go over some things as far as plastics and where you find them, because plastics are really dangerous. They're everywhere, and they're causing a lot of problems, and it's getting worse. And I think one of the things that's happening is that we've been exposed to plastics for several years now, and just now a lot of the problems are starting to show up. And just like anything else, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Oh, wait a minute, it's not fine. I remember taking a seminar one time, and a doctor said it's never a problem till it's a problem. And that's exactly the way it is with a lot of chemicals that we're exposing ourselves to. It's never a problem until it's a problem. And now suddenly it's a problem. So we're talking about phthalates. These are chemicals that are added to plastic products to keep them soft and flexible. And they're also fragrances. So hairspray, colognes, deodorants. If you ever see the word parfum or fragrances in a product, you don't want to use it. And in fact, the other day, somebody gave me a hand sanitizer. It was at a seminar. It was one part of the bling, part of the goodie bag. And I read the ingredients, and I thought, man, this is great. It doesn't have triclosan. Triclosan affects your hormones, and that's awesome. But then I saw a problem. It had fragrance, last ingredient. And so now I couldn't use it. So kind of stunk. So anyway, all right, a couple of places you're going to find hidden plastics here as I roll out my paper here. Food. Pesticides contain phthalates as inert ingredients or ingredients that aren't active, and these phthalates can build up in the soil, and as a result, it can be on your food, or the pesticides can be sprayed directly on your food. That's hard to avoid. University of Washington researchers found that people sticking to an all-organic, plastic container-free diet for a week showed that their phthalates levels lowered, and for reasons the researchers couldn't directly pinpoint, but the general advice is avoid fatty animal products, because the phthalates are suspected to accumulate in the fat cells, and eat fresh food as much as possible. Well, gee, that sounds like what Dr. Joe's been teaching for the past 30-some-odd years. Thank you, University of Washington, for agreeing with me. This was interesting. Medicine labels that have enteric coating or time-released or film-coated or safety-coated. In reality, they're coated with plastic films that contain phthalates that can mess with your hormones. So over-the-counter medications are required to list phthalates as inactive ingredients, making it easier to avoid. For prescription medications might be coated with a film of some sort, ask your pharmacist for a phthalate-free version, which is important. You don't want these chemicals. We talked about floors. Floor coverings like fake linoleum are commonly made with vinyl that contains a wide variety of phthalates, including, it's called BBZP. Love that word. Bzz, bzz. I guess it's pronounced. I don't know. The phthalate banned from children's toys, but not from floors that kids crawl on. So it's not on. It's banned from the toys, but the kids are still crawling around on it. That's not a good thing. Wallpaper made from vinyl and phthalates, which aren't bound to plastic, attached to the dust you inhale as the materials break down. So there's a lot of problems there too. Your computer. Yes, your computer can be making you sick. Chemicals and cords that connect your monitor to your mouse, all coated in vinyl. Most common phthalate found in these wires is called DIDP, which is often linked to things like asthma. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have asthma and you're around computers a lot, it could actually be stimulating the asthma attacks. Lots more to talk about. Let's take a call. You there, caller?
Yes.
Hi, what's your name? I'm sorry, it didn't come up on the screen.
Cindy.
Hi, Cindy. How can we make your day better today?
I'm calling about bulging disc in my spine.
Okay, I know a little bit about that. I know a lot about that. Go on.
It causes a constant burning pain. Would you recommend chiropractic work to help, or just go have x-rays done at my family practitioner?
Well, the problem is if it truly is a bulging disc, the only way we can diagnose that is with an MRI, maybe a CAT scan.
Okay.
An x-ray is only going to show the bones out of place. Now, that being said, we can assume there's a bulging disc if the bones are twisted in a certain way. And the reason is, I remember testifying in court one day, and an attorney said to me, well, Dr. Esposito, you can't objectify pain, and you can't tell that the ligaments have been torn. And I said, well, yes, you can. I said, because number one, if you're in pain, your pupils dilate. Now, there's I blew away the jury. That was fun. But
right.
I said, if it's windy outside, I can't see the wind, but I can see the effects of the wind. The trees are blowing, so I know it's windy. I can't see a bulging disc on an x-ray, but if the bones are twisted in a certain way, the chances are it's a disc that's causing it. So if you want to know if it's a bulging disc, it's an MRI. But I would if you prefer, I'd rather go over things with you and try a conservative approach first. If chiropractic and other...
It's protruding out of my spine, and it's basically at like the 7 or 8 bone down from my neck.
So you can feel it bulging out?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Okay, it's not the disc then, it's the bone. Because you wouldn't feel a disc. But it's the bone, which could be caused by the disc.
I mean, you can see it.
Sure, yeah.
Protruding out.
Yeah, so best bet would be try to get those bones back in place. And if we can't get it back in place, we can always get a more aggressive approach. But I prefer conservative first and then more aggressive. It's a lot safer and cheaper that way, too.
Okay, I'm also very conservative as well.
There you go. See that? So why don't you just get in, if you can come see us, or go to a chiropractor, get it checked, and get it fixed.
Okay, that sounds great.
Problem
I'll
solved.
give your office a call in the morning. Thank you.
Thanks, Cindy. I appreciate it. And, folks, our office, the office number here, the number here is 844-44 Joe. But when I'm not on the air, that number does ring through to my offices. So if you have questions, you can do that. If you want to send me questions through the website, I'm more than happy to answer your questions. Some folks send me questions through Facebook. I don't always get to Facebook. In fact, just today I was answering questions from a couple of weeks ago because I just didn't get to them. But when it goes to my website, it comes directly into my mailbox, and then I see it and I answer it right away. So we want to be your doctors. We really want to help you get well as quickly as possible. So neck pain, back pain, car accidents, sports injuries, we want to do everything we can to help get you well and keep you well. So let's keep talking about places where plastics can be hidden as we wind down here. Oof, I hate when the clock winds down on me. Your purse, your briefcase, anything made with faux leather is really plastic made with vinyl. So it's yet another potential source of phthalate exposure. So you might have noticed that, ladies, when you got your new purse, or ladies and gentlemen got a new, well, maybe gentlemen have purses, I don't know. But you got these new these new products, and suddenly your asthma got worse. You started feeling tired. This could all be a reaction to the plastics and the phthalates in your life. So, folks, what I want you to do is pay attention. Pay attention to how you feel and see if you can figure out what the problem is. I got to run. Thank you so much for your time. My website is there 24 hours a day, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe with the number one Dr. Joe in the world. Like me, follow me on Facebook, send out lots of good information there, sign up for my newsletter, listen to radio shows, archive radio shows, videos, find out where I'm lecturing next, because my live lectures are a lot of fun too. And if you want to get Super Greens, an essential source, and other supplements and books, drjoeesposito.com or on Amazon. Hey, thanks for listening. Tell your friends. We'll catch you next time.